that they just need to start. They just lie. They just lie about everything. They didn't start lying. They've been lying about everything, but they just literally make up things. The economy's terrible. They say it's great. Prices are up. They say prices are down. The sky is blue. They say the sky is green. It's just lie after lie after lie, and they get more and more ridiculous. And right now, Ben, you're right. When I watch these press briefings, and especially like this new media briefing that they have where they bring in these MAGA propagandists into the Oval Office, these really just odd, weird people to speak and just spread the White House propaganda. It is one of the cringiest things that I have ever seen. And part of it's like a little kind of funny to watch. You're like, this is so just weird and odd. But then you're like, oh no, this is like the president of the United States though. So like it would be funny if this was an SNL sketch, but this is real life. And this is just North Korea shit. This is Russia shit. And it is actually horrifying to watch. Ben, I want to give you a shout out for your incredible job moderating the first ever Democratic governor town hall hosted here on the MeidasTouch Network. And I want to thank everybody out there who watched and listened to the Democratic Governor Town Hall. It's available right now on the MeidasTouch podcast. Check it out on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. It's also on our YouTube channel. And thank you to everybody who submitted your incredible questions. I hope that you got a chance to actually be aired and speak directly to the governor. I thought that was super cool, a way to get the Meidas Mighty directly in touch with some of the people leading our nation. Jordy, good to see you. How you doing over there?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to dive into the show. But Benji, I just want to echo Brett's sentiments there, man. Great job moderating that town hall. Meidas Mighty, thank you all for submitting questions. They were fantastic questions. The governors absolutely loved it. We're going to have to do that more. That's it. We're going to have to do it more. The response was overwhelming. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm excited to get into the show tonight. Benji, where do you want to start us off?
Well, thanks for everybody to subscribing to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. That's where we took a lot of those video questions from. Our editor-in-chief, Ron Filipkowski, does an incredible job there at MeidasPlus.com. So just a plug at the beginning of the show. Go to MeidasPlus.com and hit subscribe. Brett, you talk about all of the lies. Let's just talk about a few. Donald Trump saying that gas is now down to $1.89, that it's never been lower. That's just objectively false. It's in the mid threes and higher in many places in the country. Donald Trump says that egg prices are down 87%, the lowest it's ever been. That is false. Egg prices are up. Donald Trump says that he's already done 200 deals with countries, 200 of them. Not true. Not even 200 countries that exist in the world. Donald Trump claims that he's spoken with Xi Jinping and that they were making progress. Totally false. And China has said, why would we ever deal with you all? Like, we don't even know who to even communicate with, because it seems that the Treasury Secretary, the Commerce Secretary, whatever Peter Navarro is, and everybody else are fighting with each other and saying a ton of different things. And then you have the economy contracting. Our economy is shrinking. The first quarter GDP results are in. They were negative 0.3%. And we'll see what happens next quarter. But Donald Trump was already blaming former President Biden at that debacle of a cabinet meeting and in the Oval Office for next quarter's results. Should be noted that Donald Trump took credit when Donald Trump was not in office for former President Biden's economy. He said this was the Trump economy back in 2024 and that the markets were doing great because of Donald Trump, not because of the person actually in charge. And now on April 30th, Donald Trump said this is the Biden market. This is the Biden economy. This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Dude, you've been in there now for 100 days. This is clearly your economy. This was your disastrous trade war against the world, which somehow also included penguins, with a made-up formula about for these tariffs using the deficit as a metric. I don't even know what you're doing. And now we are living the pain of Donald Trump's policies. Also, Donald, if tariffs are working so well and we're getting so rich, then why are you trying to do trade deals to get rid of them if they're working so well? Also, if they're working so well, why are you extorting and threatening businesses and saying it's a political hostile act for them to list the additional cost of goods and products to the consumer on their websites caused by tariffs? I thought you said this was all great and this would not be the case. So that doesn't really seem consistent and logical to me, but none of it does. I want to be clear when we go through this next topic and talk about Donald Trump's accelerating cognitive decline. it's important that we address it, but also acknowledge that Donald Trump should never, ever be able to use it as a way to avoid accountability. Because in his mind, he's going to go there eventually. Maybe in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the information will be, well, the reason why it all went down is because Donald Trump had all of these cognitive issues. And the press focused all of this attention on former President Biden. And for years, that's what they always wanted to try. Well, right now, more than ever, that's what they want to talk about over and over and over again. But it's staring us in the face what's going on with Donald Trump. I just want to take what's happened just over the past few days. Can we just take a look at some of these examples? Like earlier, when Donald Trump held a press conference at a national prayer breakfast, and he said that the Philadelphia Eagles were here yesterday when they were here on Monday, not yesterday. Let's play this clip.
I had Ohio State here, and I had yesterday the Philadelphia Eagles here. So they took up a little more room than Gary. I got very good at this.
Then Donald Trump is talking about how he got Palestinians to vote for him and Muslims to vote for him. And he tells this bizarre story about imams talking about, do you want to die? And I talked about virgins. And I just listen to what he's saying here. Play this clip.
Imams who I got to know in Michigan. I loved them. They were great, by the way. They said, we don't want to die. I said, you want to die? They said, we don't want to die. I said, what about the 38 virgins? They say, that's nonsense. We don't know anything about it. And we won the state of Michigan, Speaker, by and we had tremendous support. But we have.
Goes, Imam, and do you see the people behind him? Like, it's basically, all right, we don't know what he's saying. Okay, keep talking. And then Donald Trump at this national prayer breakfast kept on talking about how every election is rigged and everything is rigged. Here, watch this.
Very, very special day coming up. You know, we have a lot of them during this term. And interestingly, I had none of them had I not had a rigged election. Had the election not been rigged, I would have been out of here. I would have been gone. The radical left would have said, we got rid of him finally. But no, now they have me for another 4 years. We talk about that. And in the other.
Is he like huffing and puffing like that? And here, and look, I'm not trying to, I'm just trying to say, are we all watching this? Like, that's what I'll show you a clip when I asked Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, like, and he said, I get asked this all the time, Ben. I'll show you the clip in a little bit, not right now, but he goes, it's a fair question. Like, we're all observing it. It's almost like what Senator Bernie Sanders told me, that sometimes the significant issues that everybody's talking about is what the news is like never talking about. Here, Donald Trump is talking to his audience about how he talks with kings and queens and prime ministers who show up in the Oval Office. Here, play this clip.
You are this unbelievable setting. I think no setting like it in the world. When you add up the importance, I take people into the Oval Office, and the biggest people, foreign leaders, princes, kings, queens, and presidents and prime ministers, and a couple of dictators, I guess. They don't say that. They say, no, I'm a prime minister or I'm a president. And I say, no, you're a dictator, but that's okay. But I bring them into the Oval Office, and they just want to look. They can't believe it. It's the most important. And they all have beautiful offices. They are in.
You're a dictator, but that's okay. That's okay. And look, it gets serious, though, because here in that disastrous interview that Donald Trump gave with ABC, and shout out to the interviewer, he did a really good job here, I thought. Donald Trump was asked about the tariffs on China, and Donald Trump just seems to have not even the most basic understanding of like even what a tariff is, how it works, why it increases the cost to the consumer. And Trump says, oh, these tariffs are great. They deserve it. China deserves it. Here, watch this.
Secretary said we basically have an embargo on China.
Look, you're trying to say something's going to happen, Terry.
No. Okay, well,
nothing's going to happen.
You know business.
Terry,
I want to ask you.
I do know business.
Yes. So 145% tariffs on China, and that's good. Basically an embargo.
They deserve it.
It'll raise prices on everything from electronics to clothing to building houses.
You don't know that. You don't know whether or not China's going to eat it.
That's mathematics.
China probably will eat those tariffs, but at 145, they basically can't do much business with the United States. And They were making from us $1 trillion a year. They were ripping us off like nobody's ever ripped us off. And by the way, we have other countries that were just as bad.